Hello, people. Thanks for coming to my show. Thank you for being here. La-di-da, la-di-da, ra-di-rah, rah-rah. So, even after 9-10 episodes of coincidences, I happen to still miss one. So, again, I have coincidence for days, months, years, eternity, and I missed a good one. So, we'll just throw it in for today. One of the ones I missed, and I may do a short video clip on it, is the 7-4. 7-4 comes along. My wife tells me, I tell my wife, she looks at her phone, it says 7-4. There's another 7-4. There's two on her phone, or one on her phone. One, can't remember exactly, but they, like I said, one was on her phone, and then something else triggered it, and something, and she opens her Bible right to Psalm 7-4. No exaggerating. So, these numbers and all this junk is quite attached to me. Anywho, on for today's story. Sorry, I was recording on my phone and I got to delete a bunch of stuff. I was talking and yapping and it cut off. So this thing was doing that too, but I'm on my tablet here recording. But it's clear, it's clean. It'll take as much as I got to say. Like I said, my phone needs some, to erase some stuff, but I'm driving, so we'll get to it when we get to it. Anyways, I thought a good one would be, we got a, funeral. I thought a good one that I've never spoken on is jewelry. Jewelry? Yes, jewelry. I can't think of a normal, I can't think of much stories that I would ever even mention that weren't worth mentioning, right? Okay? When I was 21, right in that ballpark, sometime in there were times I had girlfriends, sometimes not. I would go to the bar a lot. As I've discussed, I'd go to Buckhead all the time, pretty much every weekend. Me and Todd, me and a lot of different people, right? A couple different times, I'd go home with different people, etc. But anyways, there was this bar, as I discussed, World Bar, and there was another bar called Mako's, right? Mako was the hottest bar in Buckhead at this time. The fake wrestlers used to go there, Raven from WWE or whatever. Raven, and there was another fake wrestler, and I met this lady, this chick that worked for whatever, WWE or WWF, whoever they were, I can't remember, but I went to Buckhead one time and met them, was with Aaron Rowland, but this isn't the same time. So, like I'm just describing, Mako's was the hot club, Buckhead was World Bar and Mako's. Jam-packed, can't hardly move, walk in there. But every weekend, I would go in there, and there was this tall black guy with a trench coat, right? And this guy would be coming and walking around, so I got to knowing him, and anybody and everybody did. I bet Nipster could probably vouch to this. I'm thinking maybe Nipster, Nipster was there when I headbutted Lane Staley. He was at Alice in Chains then. So I'm thinking maybe him and some other people were around in these days, is what I'm getting at. So Mako's was jamming, and there was this tall black guy with long dreads, and he would sell jewelry, hot, and a lot of stolen, a lot of not stolen merchandise. He literally, crazy as shit, I'm mentioning it, one of the cool things I remember, he would open his trench coat, get a black trench coat, and picture a tall black guy with a trench coat, right? So, like, if I open a trench coat, there was only be so many aisles that I'd have to work with, right? Like I said, he was real tall, and he'd open his trench coat, and it looked like a small jewelry store. I mean, imagine that. He had, stuff with shelves, in his jacket now. Just imagine, like, them hanging, selling being able to look at like 100 different pieces. He literally had jewelry, spoons, forks, knives, high-end watches, high-end watches, stolen and fake, right? So you never know what you were gonna get. So I would all the time go down there, and I would get deals $15 to $20, depending how good and nice they were. Sometimes the max 30. I would get a Tag Heuer and a Movado for $15. Imagine that now. 15, sometimes 20, sometimes 25, sometimes 30. It ranged between 15 and 30, right? Literally. He literally would have 10 plus 15, 20 watches for me to look at every weekend for about a year or two, just during this specific time frame that I would see him every weekend. So I started buying these hot and fake, and some of them were real and some of them were fake, Tag Heuer, whatever, and Movados, right? Everybody, if you don't know what that is, if you're a little young here, if you're not close to my age, Movado and Tag at that time was like the hottest watches. It's not as expensive as Rolex, but they're semi like it. You know, Tags and they're expensive. $1,000. They go up to several thousand. Movados are badass watches. So are Tags. If you don't know much about this, most people do. Maybe even young people know this. High-end watches, $15 to $30. I'd buy as many as I could afford, and I would take them and I'd sell them to Kevin and Donnie and JP, and I'm not sure, maybe Clint, some people I worked with, and Dan, and guys I went to school with and high school with. I was selling all these watches to, right? Wasn't making much money, but I was buying them for 15, I was selling them for 50. Sometimes they were 20, 25, sometimes I would get 2 for 30, sometimes 1 for 20, all different kind of prices you couldn't. So like I said, I would get them as cheap as 15, as high as 30, and obviously I would raise it up and sell them for 50. So it was an easy hustle, and I had all these fake ass and real watches. Like I said, when the guy opened up his trench coat, insane. Imagine a tall ass guy, like the longest trench coat you could possibly figure. And imagine if somebody had like I said, he had necklaces, bracelets. Sterling silver was popular in this time, okay? Not that he had gold, but he had a lot of sterling silver and a lot of these high-end watches. And like I said, in these days when I was 21, sterling silver had become very popular. It was the in thing. I had it. People would have, linked sterling silver necklaces, bracelets, etc. He had all that. Necklaces, bracelets, like I said, spoons, forks, knives, you name it. He had it. Like all kind of weird, crazy, off type stuff you wouldn't think somebody. Like I said, he had stuff that you wouldn't think, I remember the silverware, that used to get me, Here's these fire ass jewelry and watches, and he's got silverware selling at the same time. Sometimes he'd have nail clippers. He was a store, right? You could buy individual cigarettes from him. You could buy so you get the idea, right? And so I thought that was wild, and I shared that with everybody, okay? So here Mike is wearing these fire ass watches, and I would learn and I didn't know starting out the fakes from the real, right? Here's where it gets good. So I got whatever you would call it, baby soft skin, something. I always had to use ivory soap. My skin, I'm not super sensitive, but my skin's sensitive, okay? I always get ivory, etc. And here's just a little side note for all you men. Do not shave your arms and your hands if you all else hell possible. It causes staph. I was giving myself staph and MRSA. I got MRSA from shaving. This wasn't even had nothing to do with